Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Police in Warren opened fire on a man suspected of attacking his family before pointing a gun at officers. Thanks for joining us for Local 4 News at 5. I'm Kimberly Gill.
And I'm Devon Fernandez in for Devin Skilly. And we first broke this story at 4 o'clock. A call for help from a house in Warren claiming a young man was attacking family members. Police rushing to that scene on Arbor Drive in a neighborhood near 11 Mile and Ryan. Sean Lay is live to take us through what happened there. Hey, Sean.
A lot going on out here. Let me direct you to exactly where this happened. The home on the corner here with the blue car. Beyond that, you see all the police activity here. They've been here since 1:30. Family inside the home, you're right. They called police. They needed help, saying their son was assaulting them. He's between 18 to 22 years old. Police got here, didn't get a chance to go inside. The man came outside at them with a gun.
Shot fire, give me an ambulance.
You can hear the urgency in the voices of Warren police officers. 1:30 today, a family here on Arbor called police. They needed help. A member of their own family, a son in his late teens or early 20s, was assaulting them inside the home. When police rushed to the home to help, no one came to the front door. Officers went around to the back and came face to face with that young man. He had a gun. Police say he pointed it at them and would not put it down. Officers opened fire.
We are starting CPR. CPR.
Was he looking for those officers and pointing the gun at them?
It appears, yes. It appears he intentionally came around, pointed his weapon at the officers, and the officers at that point fired several times.
That dangerous situation of the man coming out of the home, coming up to officers, pointing a handgun at them. 3 officers then firing a total of 10 shots.
It's one of the two. This may be a situation where it was a suicide by cop, as they call it, or the subject, as I said, he approached officers with a handgun, so we're not sure if he was looking for a fight with the officers.
Back here live, we're told there's been trouble at the home in the past, and such a dangerous situation, any domestic violence situation, for police to arrive. This time, a man confronting them or walking towards them with that gun. And you heard the officer there. They don't know if it was a suicide by officer or if he was actually coming at them. Those officers who fired those shots, it's protocol. Any police department, there is an investigation, and they are on administrative leave while that investigation is going on. Back to you guys.
All right, wow. Thanks, Sean.
All right, the weather hazy and rainy as evidenced by Sean's live shot, and also the wind is whipping out there today.
Yeah, you see those flags just going. Ron Hilliard is in for Kim Adams. And Ron, how are things looking into tonight?
Well, we're going to see some improvement when it comes to the rain, but it is still going to be windy out there. At times, we've seen gusts as high as the upper 40-mile-per-hour range, getting close to 50 miles per hour. Look at Metro Airport. The camera is shaking as we look at the planes on the tarmac. So the current temperatures across the region hovering right around 50 degrees. We're at 50 at Metro Airport, 53 in the city of Detroit on the east side. We're at 47 in Lapeer and Sandusky with 46 coming in out of Port Huron. Now, here's a ZAC-Track 4D radar. The majority of the region seeing the rain showers right now. Less of it as you get into southern portions of Monroe County, but otherwise from around the I-94 area and northward all the way up into the Thumb, we have those showers. Getting a closer look, some of those more moderate showers right now as we go into the Thumb. You see it right there. We're going to talk about when this moves out of the area coming up.
Okay, Ron, there's new information about a violent crime that happened last fall just across from Michigan Stadium. Ann Arbor police say 2 young men from Detroit who were selling candy outside a Michigan football game sexually assaulted a woman at a popular tailgating spot. Here's Rod Maloney with today's new developments in the case.
University of Michigan and Ann Arbor pride themselves in having one of the best and most secure college football atmospheres anywhere in the country. And yet last November, a woman at the game came out, crossed the street here, over by the golf course on the other side of this wall and these trees to retrieve something from her car. And while she was there, she was brutally raped and robbed.
The 37-year-old Ohio woman left her jacket in the golf course parking lot, and while there some tailgaters were around, none were close enough to offer any protection or help. While in her vehicle, 2 men approached her, seemingly out of nowhere, and brutalized her, says Ann Arbor Police Lieutenant Bonnie Thiel.
That included forcefully removing her clothing. At one point, one of the suspects actually strangled her, resulting in some momentary loss of consciousness.
Later that night, Ann Arbor police arrested 19-year-old Jarrell Childs, who was 18 at the time, of Detroit, who went before a magistrate today, charged with first-degree sexual assault, robbery, and larceny. Perhaps more disturbing, arrested with child's a 13-year-old from Detroit who went before a juvenile judge in Washtenaw County Court today facing the exact same charges. Ann Arbor PD, with the help of Detroit PD's Special Victims Unit, used DNA to identify both men in the case, which is why it took so long to get to court today. But it's the violence most disconcerting here.
In my 24 years here, we've never had an incident of this nature with this type of violence in a public space at any U of M, a sporting event. So this was very concerning to us.
Now, the magistrate today said that Childs was a danger to the community, set the bond at a $75,000 cash bond, which means he has to put up all $75,000 in order to be able to get out of the Washtenaw County Jail. If convicted, he could face 10 years in prison. In the meantime, the 13-year-old was in juvenile court today. Those records are sealed, but he is again facing the same exact charges, but in juvenile court. Back to you.
Well, Rod, what led police to these two men in the first place?
Well, you know, they didn't have much to go on initially, but then they say the 13-year-old used one of the stolen credit cards at a party store in Detroit. They retrieved the surveillance video, were able to identify the young man, the 13-year-old, who they say gave them the 18-year-old. They did ID, they did DNA samples in order to check that, but had to wait for the rape kit to come back, and that's how they ended up in court here today.
Really good police work. Okay, Rod, we appreciate it.
We have new video to show you of a dramatic police chase that caused backups on I-94 yesterday. Now, this all started when police were alerted to what they were told was a stolen car in Macomb County. Jacqueline Francis is here to walk us through that video. Jacqueline?
Demand, watching the video, it's incredible that no one was seriously hurt. And while at first police thought it was just the driver in the car, they soon learned there were two small passengers in the back.
Imagine driving down I-94 and coming across this. A police chase, officers pursuing a car going the wrong way down the freeway. This was the scene Thursday morning on westbound I-94 near Shook Road in Harrison Township. The chase started on Price Drive in Clinton Township when Macomb County deputies were alerted to an alleged stolen Jeep driving down the road. Trying to flee police, the Jeep made its way to 94, weaving in and out of oncoming traffic. Police tried multiple tactics to stop the car before ultimately hitting the Jeep, bringing the chase to an end. The driver was arrested on site, and two small children were found in the car unharmed.
Those kids are now in the care of a family member. As for the driver, he's facing a number of charges, including 2 counts of second-degree child abuse. Reporting live tonight, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
Oh man, Jacqueline, so glad that everyone's safe over there. Thank you.
Air travelers at Detroit Metro Airport are off to a better start this year when it comes to leaving their firearms at home. TSA screeners at DTW have had to seize 13 guns during the first quarter of 2024, ending March 31st. That's half as many as they intercepted in last year's first quarter. However, the second quarter isn't off to a great start, with 3 incidents already in April. Nationally, there's been no significant change in the number of firearms seized at airports. It's holding steady at about 16 per day. Of all the guns seized the past 2 years, 93% have been loaded.
Vice President Harris is making stops in Arizona today as part of the Biden campaign's push to keep abortion access in the spotlight. The VP's visit is in response to Arizona reinstating an 1864 law this week, which bans nearly all abortions. Now, former President Trump is flip-flopping on his state's rights stance on abortion, calling the Arizona law too extreme. NBC's Alice Barr is in Washington right now with more.
Good evening. The Biden campaign is raising the heat on reproductive rights as former President Trump tries to draw attention to another election issue. Vice President Kamala Harris in Arizona today, the new front line in the nation's battle over reproductive rights. The Arizona Supreme Court this week ruled to reinstate an 1864 ban on all abortions, except to save the mother's life. The Biden campaign releasing a series of ads blaming former President Trump for seating the conservative U.S. Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade.
If Donald Trump gets back in power, what freedom will you lose next?
The campaign previewing that Vice President Harris will say, quote, Donald Trump is the architect of this health care crisis, and that's not a fact he hides. In fact, he brags about it. Mr. Trump saying the Arizona decision went too far, calling it an inappropriate law.
Did Arizona go too far? Yeah, they did, and that'll be straightened out.
He urged Arizona lawmakers to act immediately to remedy what has happened, though earlier this week he said abortion should be left up to the states. He acknowledged Democrats' political advantage on abortion.
The only issue they think they have is on abortion.
Polls show former President Trump leading President Biden on the key issues of immigration and the economy. Today, Mr. Trump focused on election integrity, even as he faces charges of trying to illegally overturn the 2020 results. House Speaker Mike Johnson traveling to Mar-a-Lago to meet with him.
We want to make absolutely certain that anybody votes is actually an American citizen. In some states, it's too easy.
The speaker moving to align himself more closely with the former president in a bid to appeal to far-right members and hold on to his job. Speaker Johnson's job is in peril after the House renewed a foreign intelligence surveillance program against the wishes of some far-right Republicans who also oppose more funding for Ukraine, something Speaker Johnson has said he'll be bringing up for a vote. In Washington, Alice Barr, Local 4.